everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Field Trip Energy. Today I want to discuss a viral trend I've been seeing circling around the internet, and in fact, Barstool Sports posted it this week. So let's dive in. There's a trend going around right now where parents are dressing up as the Grinch and blasting into the house, scaring the bejabbers out of the children, taking all the presents and the tree with them. Now, there is an argument today where speaking out against something like this, people might point a finger at you and say, oh, everybody's so sensitive today. You're making our kids soft. This is funny. And where I do agree that today a lot of people jump on conflict in a manner that is not productive at all, I want to talk a bit about my background and why I feel that this trend in particular is not a great idea. I am a huge advocate for balance in my life, but when I saw this video, I couldn't help but think of my background. I am a master's student studying psychotherapy with a focus in childhood development. The brain is in its most vulnerable state from ages 0 to 3, and now we are even finding that that goes all the way to age 8. Because of this, it is imperative to bolster a child's adolescence with dependability, love, and mirroring. Trauma in day-to-day speech seems to be kind of this hot button term that everybody associates something major, catastrophic that you would see on the news with. It's actually not always the case. Trauma can build and stack on top of each other over a lifetime. This is what we call complex trauma, and it might not always be so overt. It might not be the huge car accident. It can be subtle. And it can also be unspoken. All to say, you do not want to create any instances in your child's life where their nervous system is up to the ethers. This Grinch trend is doing exactly that. The reason you do not want to do this is because in terms of trauma, you want your child to develop what we call resiliency in psychology. Resiliency is something that is built every single day, and that is from being a nurturing and loving parent. Two adults, let's say in the military, could have witnessed the exact same traumatic event and have a completely different aftermath, even though it was the same exact occurrence. This is because different people have different levels of resiliency. This has to do with the box we were born into, something we can't control, but what we can as caregivers is that notion of resiliency that is built daily from ages 0 to 8. I work in the charter school system in underserved areas, and one of my clients is 5 years old and has witnessed at age 4 a catastrophic tragedy. And because of this, experiences PTSD. I've noticed when I grab them from class, because I work in the school system, we have to go up a flight of stairs that's outside. And every time we have to ascend the steps, they express deep, deep fear of these steps. The truth of the matter is, every individual, no matter how old they are, has to conquer their own fears. There is not a primary caregiver, there is not a mythical creature that can come down and do that for them. What I do is make sure that every session I have with her, that we stop on the steps, crouch down, stare through the cracks, I hold their hand, and we talk about it. We sit there for about 2 minutes, and I say, what do you see? What's down there? What about that scares you? This repetition over and over again creates a pattern of neural pathways in the brain that allows my client to recognize later on, I've been stopping and staring under the steps now for about 4 months and nothing bad has happened to me. Maybe the steps are not as scary as I perceive them to be. This is resilience. This is what we want to be building within children. If I still haven't completely sold you and you think, oh man, she's really encouraging our children to be soft, let me speak a bit on boundaries and balance. We do want to encourage autonomy within our children during playtime. We want to supervise from a healthy distance. Ideally, they're playing outside. They climb a 4-foot tree branch, fall off, scrape up their elbows, and realize, oh, okay, wow, this is the limit my body can climb. I got hurt last time. I learned this myself. I didn't have the helicopter parent screaming, "Don't climb that!" Because as children, we are mirrors of our caregivers. So if our caregiver shows deep fear, the child will take that on as well. Wrestling is another great example. Kids can wrestle with their siblings and their cousins, and they learn from, again, a healthy distance of supervision. Oh, wow. When my cousin says, "Stop, stop, stop," and starts crying, I need to stop because I've actually struck them and hurt them. Next time, I know not to do that because my parent enforced a consequence in the aftermath. There is this dependability, there is this stability, and there is no bending and breaking of boundaries. Resilience is also built through self-esteem at a young age. This is having responsibilities such as chores. This is being able to explore what your child has a great interest in, such as dance class or sports. These are all incredible, healthy ways to have this balance. So for the folks who are still firm in that the Grinch trend is harmless, I want you to consider these few questions. These are not meant for me to challenge you in a negative way, but it is to actually challenge your own growth. My first question is, go to a quiet space in your mind and think back and reflect on the very first time you can remember being disappointed by an attachment figure. What did that memory look like? And how might it be present in your life today through defenses, through getting very, very defensive over something seemingly small to others watching? There's been quite a bit of chatter on this trend talking about, well, it's discipline. I told my kids if they misbehave, the Grinch is gonna come and take all their presents, so that's why I did it. In regards to that, I'd like you to also reflect on why it is easier for you to enforce discipline through someone else, to displace the authority of yourself onto another entity entirely, and in this case, a mythical creature. Really sit with that and think about your relationship with discipline. And my last question to reflect on, again, in a non-defensive and curious manner, is why did it sound like a better idea to bring negative energy into the home instead of maybe having somebody dress up as Santa Claus and create a more magical experience? These are tricky topics. There's a lot of nuance here. Thank you for tuning in, and I welcome any feedback, any more discussion points you'd like to explore with this topic. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.